Hey, welcome back guys. This is Eddie with the Blaze RC Shop. Today I'm going to be walking you through my personal RMX 2.0. I'm going to go through the different upgrades that I've included and price versus performance, my opinion on the parts that actually make a difference versus the parts that just give you a little bit of aluminum flash. Alright, so now that we actually have an MST RMX 2.0 S in front of us, this is my personal car. I did the paint job myself, I did all the decals, customized it up. I want to let you know that everything in this video is going to be my opinion. So everyone's going to have a different way that they like to modify their cars and soup them up and apply different hop-ups. But the way I do it, I think that everything I have on this car is performance oriented. So I'd like to go ahead and walk you through the choices that I made and why I made them to maybe have you guys get some information on where you would like to take your cars. So let's go ahead and take the body off here. And right away you can see it's a little different than your box standard RMX RTR. We'll start at the front. We've got TR60s on the front here. It's a $60 upgrade. So those are MST's hop-up shocks. They're fully aluminum bodied. They've got coated shafts. I'm running the dual spring rate progressive springs on here, so they're softer and they harden up as they get closer to the bottom. I think these are a fantastic upgrade. They come with 0mm, 2.5mm, and 5mm ball ends right here to help extend the bottom of the shock shaft so you can get your full suspension travel. That's a pretty big known problem on the stock RTRs, is that they just don't have enough suspension travel, and this will help you fight that. I fill mine with 10-weight fluid, and I also put extra piston holes in the piston, so I run a 6-hole piston over a 3-hole piston just to get a nice smooth shock shaft rebound and a nice action on the shocks there. These are fantastic. The collets never get stuck. I've never had an issue with them leaking or anything like that. I think they just function really well. Also came with the chassis, I have a graphite upper front shock tower here, so that way I get a couple extra caster adjustments on the top, and I'm still running the stock plastic lowers and upper arms. The reason I haven't gone to anything aluminum here is I haven't quite found one yet that offers any extra adjustability in this area. They tend to just be aluminum with the same amount of adjustability as the stock plastic ones. They also tend to be pretty pricey, and with it not offering any extra features, I just don't think that that's the way to go. I think everything on the car should offer you something. Again, included with the chassis that I bought, which would be the Yeah Racing Graphite RMX 2.0 chassis, comes with the upper brace here, so they're a little thinner, a little more rigid than the plastic ones to stop the flex. A lot of people like to run really flexy chassis. I like my chassis to be stiff and my suspension to handle the flex of the car. If you notice, I have my servo in the long position. That will allow you to get a more precise steering. As the longer a lever is, the more precise it can function. So instead of having your servo up here and you only have about a 3mm travel from the servo arm to the horn, if you do this long position here, you get a much longer travel, which is going to impart more force on the steering rack and allow you to turn the wheels a lot more precise and a lot faster. I run an Oniseki gyro. I love these gyros. They're compatible with everything that I've ever ran, be it Futaba, be it FlySky, which I run right now. You can see my receiver behind me. I've tried it on Traxxas. I've tried it with just about every other system I can get my hands on, and it works flawlessly. I'm running it with a Reedy hand-me-down servo I got out of one of my competition truggies. Fantastic. It's never had a problem pairing. I've never had any issues or any glitching. The servo does shake. It's an old servo. It's been abused, so that'll be why that happens. I use a short pack battery just to try to evenly distribute the weight across the center of the chassis. I really didn't want anything hanging out, extending over the sides of the chassis there. Go a little further back and you'll notice I have the 2.5S transmission box set. So that's going to be the aluminum case, the 4 gears inside, the ball diff, a heatsink plate, and a spur cover. I think this, hands down, is one of the best upgrades you can make for price versus performance on these cars. It updates your 2.0 transmission to the 4-gear 2.5S transmission. And you can run that in multiple configurations. They have it where you can set it up for the RRX, the RMX, RMX low and top position, the rear motor position. There's quite a few options there. But the reason I like this so much is that I had a lot of issues with the stock bevel gear. A, it's noisy, and B, the delivery the power delivery is just not there. It's only a 3-gear system with only one of those gears actually touching the outdrives for the differential. This changes it to be a 3 or 4-gear system, so you can run your rear motor setup or your upper and lower regular RMX setups, and it's much quieter inside the aluminum case. And the torque delivery along with the ball diff that's installed when you do the kit is fantastic. I think it's 100% a decent upgrade for the price. They come in at about $171. If we go one step further, I do have the MB active suspension rear arms on here. So what that does is as the suspension compresses on either side, it will keep the tires in alignment with the car. So as you go down, you get more toe in or toe out depending on how you have it set up. That's going to help you keep your alignment mid-drift and actually allow you to place the grip where you need it in the turn. To run those arms, you are going to need to pick up the 42mm shafts for the rear. Those help it because if you use the stock setup, you're going to be pushing the arms into the diff and it's going to be way too tight. As soon as you go and you put the shorter shafts in, you get all of your suspension movement back. You can run the MB arms with the longer shafts, but it will tighten up the rear end a lot. You don't get actually any playback there. So it definitely is recommended to get the 42mm shafts. As far as torque delivery and drivability on these arms, I think for $30 plus the $15 of the drive shafts, it's a huge upgrade. Probably the first one I would actually recommend you to do, just because the better you can keep your wheels aligned in the drift, the better the drift is going to be. It just helps you fight any kind of oversteer or spin out issues that you might have due to the wheels not being able to put grip down on the pavement. If we flip the car around here, you can see I'm running TR60s on the back also. So I have the same shock setup. I run mine really low. The difference here when you make your shock more parallel to the surface, they act less up and down, but as the car shifts side to side, so that would be this way and this way, they impart a little more resistance. If you're having a problem where the back of the car is dragging against the ground, you more than likely need to straighten up your shock position, make the shocks as straight as possible to the shock tower. That way you will have more resistance going up and down instead of side to side. I like to run my car kind of mid-stiff, kind of mid-loose, so this helps me mid-drift just readjust the suspension there. I've also went ahead and just made a plastic motor mount. You can purchase this through multiple different brands. They have adjustable motor mounts. They have differences in those, but I just went ahead and made one out of some 3mm thick plastic card, and it works fantastic. I just went ahead and bolted it. See if I can flip it over here for you. Bolted it through the bottom where the stock one would mount and cut the angle into it so it sits perfectly on the back of the ESC there. Give you a quick look around the car while we're here. And if you have a keen eye, you may be able to spot in there, I am running a full set XD10 motor and ESC combo. I really like this motor and ESC. I think it's probably, bar a couple other motors, the best option you can get at the price. I paid around $400 for the set. I bought it the day it came out. It's got more options than I can even remember to adjust. You have brake curve, throttle curve, adjustable timing on both the motor and the ESC, adjustable boost both ways, custom maps. Pretty much anything you would actually need to alter on these cars, you can do through this ESC right here. I do have a 40mm fan extension. I don't actually, I guess you would call it a trumpet. Normally the fan is only 30mm. You throw these on top of there, you get a little more airflow. Plus I think they just look really cool. You'll normally see people running these on an extra fan for the ESC itself. But the XT10 system here comes equipped with a fan on the motor shaft. So I've actually ran this car for upwards of an hour and never had to generate any heat on a 2S battery. This motor just keeps itself cool. I think that fan really does change a lot. I'm not running the stock spur gear. I have an 87 tooth spur gear. It gives me just a little more speed now that I'm running the 13.5 XT10 system. So we went down 2 teeth on the pinion and up a few teeth on the spur, but I think that's a pretty good combo. I believe it's 2087. That right there is getting me a good amount of speed, good amount of torque. But in conjunction with all the other upgrades I have, it really makes this thing a slide laser. Other than that, there's not too much else to the car. Like I said, you won't see all the flashy aluminum across the top, the arms, the lowers, stuff like that. Everything on here is a performance-oriented upgrade, and I have drifted many a pair of tires with this car. You will see it drifting later in the video. I'll give you some footage of that so you guys can actually see how it works. But outside of that, that's pretty much it. I think this is really a really good pathway to take to get your RMX up to the next level without making any unnecessary purchases on parts that aren't really going to do too much for you. All right, so hopefully now you know the difference between price versus performance and what, in my opinion, are the upgrades that you need to make to take your RMX to the next level. If you've liked this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and always ding that notification bell so you can stay updated when we post new videos. We'll see you later.